good afternoon, good evening, and whatever time for those people who are actually viewing this as a recording post-event. Welcome to Gestalt Digital's first ever webinar. So it's a very exciting moment for us. We are a 3-year or so old company that specializes in bringing AI applications to clients around the world that drive impactful performance improvements. We're going to start our exposure to the world today by focusing in on one of the first key applications, the Contact Center Insights Manager. It's an AI-fueled engine that's been utilized in a number of clients around the world. And one of the things we're focused on, which hopefully you'll recognize that we're a little bit different, is we're not going to spend a huge amount of time focused on PowerPoint explanations about what these applications are. We're going to focus on showing you how these applications actually work. You know, how they work in action, using examples that have been implemented in other clients, obviously sanitized appropriately to protect the innocent. A few administrative points. There is a Q&A button, a questions button on your GoToWebinar control panel. You can send any questions via that, or in fact put them in the chat. We will endeavor to handle those questions throughout the conversation today. And if we don't get to them all, then we'll respond back to you after the end of the webinar. And so kind of on to the content. I'm going to have the panel today introduce themselves, starting with myself, Graham Clark. I've been involved in technology-driven transformation and innovation for 38 years and have been in the AI-enabled experience world since 2011. And in fact, in the contact center world for a long time before that. So the CCIM application is particularly exciting for me. Deepak, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks, Graham. Deepak here. Did my PhD from Chicago and was a researcher at Bell Labs for a very long time. Then saw the power of intelligent machines early on and was at IPsoft as a CTO to realize that vision. Amelia from IPsoft is a conversational agent that sits at the top of Gartner's Magic Quadrant, servicing many throughout the globe, many large enterprises throughout the globe. Subsequently at EasyML, as EasyML is a machine learning platform, but one that's unique because it's a transparent machine learning platform. And that's very important because without transparency, unless you explain your predictions, there is no trust because there's too much risk in the enterprise. And so I feel very passionately about transparency, risk averse, trusted collaboration. And so Congress invited me to the congressional hearing to talk about how transparency in machine learning can actually democratize access to capital. So that's me. Very nice to meet everyone.
Great. Nidhi?
Hi, this is Nidhi. So I am the co-founder and AI strategist at Gestalt. I have about 20 plus years of experience in data architecture, business intelligence analysis, data-driven transformations, having worked with KPMG, Bearing Point, KPMG Consulting, Bearing Point, Deloitte, Siemens, just providing strategic consulting to Fortune 500 companies such as General Motors, Sanofi Aventis, Siemens Manufacturing Services, list is long, Mosaic, Symbol Technologies. And within the community of New Jersey, I sit on the board of trustees of the largest community college in New Jersey, the Raritan Valley Community College. So let me take this moment to welcome all of you to this webinar.
Fantastic. Vikram?
Yeah, hi everyone. Myself Vikram Nunia. I am a data scientist. I head the data engineering team at Bangalore office. I am responsible for EasyML product delivery, deploying solutions on the cloud platforms. Along with my team, I have developed several point solutions which are riding on the EasyML platform like CCIM, FRP. CCIM is what we are going to discuss today. I have extensive experience in the entire data lifecycle, data quality assessment, data engineering, data modeling, and all. And in past 10 plus years of experience, I have successfully developed AI ML models for various industry projects like finance, packaging, telcos, shipping, etc. So looking forward for more such experiences. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Vikram. So let's talk about what we're going to cover today. So we're going to start with a couple of minutes just to explain who we are and why you should actually believe us and why you should believe in this vision that we have. And then as we consider our whole topic of capturing your AI-enabled customer service future, we're going to talk a little bit about the situation that we see in contact center and customer operations functions around the world, based on us talking to a lot of different leaders, and what the challenges are at the agent level, what the challenges are at the operational leader level, and then we're going to dive into how the contact center insights manager built on EasyML works in order to solve this. And then we're going to spend the bulk of the time today having Nidhi and Vikram actually demonstrate to you how CCIM works in order to enable agents and to transform service operations leaders' ability to manage their sessions. And then we'll close out with a couple of statements about where people tend to go from here. And then hopefully our goal is to have you talk to us after we're done. So we'll provide contact information for you to come back to us. So let's start with, why should you believe? So this platform and we as a team have spent 15 years at the forefront of the AI movement, specifically applying AI to solve real omnichannel business problems since 2014, and I'll explain that. So IPsoft that Deepak mentioned was founded in 2009 and launched Amelia in 2014, and Amelia is generally ranked as one of, if not the top, conversational omnichannel AI platform in the marketplace. It's been deployed in a huge number of companies. It speaks in 108 languages, has 9 million active users, over 1,000 integrations. And as you'll see in the bottom chart, which may be a little hard to read, Everest ranks Amelia at the top of those platforms when they looked at the marketplace. So starting in 2009 in the development area with IPsoft, Amelia launching in 2014. By the way, IPsoft is now rebranded as Amelia. And then in 2020, Deepak specifically pulled EasyML out of the Amelia platform as an independent go-to-market company and strategy. So if you know how conversational AI engines are built, very simplistically, they have an interaction layer at the front, which is how it talks to you in 108 languages. They have an integration layer at the back because you have to plug these systems into all the existing enterprise technologies in a company. You can't tell them to go spend $50 million on a customer data platform with real-time data before you can do any work. And then in the middle, they have an AI ML layer, which kind of makes sense of what's behind them and drives the conversational layer. So EasyML is that middle layer and brings all the things which Deepak will talk about in a minute that made Amelia and still make Amelia such a powerful platform and leader in the space that they operate. And so, as you'll see here, been featured in Forbes. Deepak has spoken to the US Congress about the impact of and the trends in AI ML. And so since 2020, EML has been a platform that's been targeted at the marketplace. And then shortly after EasyML was pulled out, Gestalt was signed on as an affiliate, or we signed on as an affiliate. We have a very special relationship with EasyML. Rajesh Makija, our founder and CEO, is part of the EasyML board. And as you can tell from today, Deepak is very supportive of Gestalt amongst their other partners. And so Gestalt is focused on bringing these applications to market. We've done so in banking, financial services and insurance, media and entertainment, communications, education, life sciences and healthcare, and CPG, and even some others. And obviously our goal would be to have you be next. In addition to those, we're establishing a vibrant partner network where we're working with a number of other companies in order to bring the CCIM application and other applications that you'll hear about over the next 9 to 12 months to market to impact our end clients. So that's enough about us. Let's talk about what we've heard from contact center and operations leaders as we've been kind of building this platform, and the platform itself has emerged over the last couple of years. And so we know that contact centers are under pressure, immense pressure. They're under corporate pressure to perform better at lower cost every day. They're under customer pressure because today's digital first but not digital only multi-channel customer tends to arrive at the contact center with low expectations based on other experiences they've had with contact centers or that their friends and associates have talked about. They also tend to arrive frustrated, and I don't know the exact statistics, but a lot more than half of calls in contact centers today tend to start with the words, "I was trying to do this on your app or your website," and so that's a big challenge that customers are bringing, and they expect the contact center agent to know everything about their previous journey interactions, to know everything about them, and to be able to serve them quickly and effectively, giving them what they want, whether it's buying something or whether it's just advancing on their multi-channel journey. The agents are under pressure because they deal with this, right? They deal with these volatile, emotional customers. What one of my friends who runs a contact center refers to customers who are out on the ledge, and the first thing they have to do is pull them back off the ledge before they can serve them. In many cases, the drive over the last 30 years towards reducing cost of agents has begun to come to an end, because in many industries, financial services, healthcare, and others, those agents are highly skilled and highly certified. They're under constant pressure to perform, and they often feel overwhelmed and underappreciated in their roles, and it's no wonder that agent churn is so high. We've talked to many leaders who deal with 30 to 40% churn a year. We talked to one organization that's dealing with 120% churn a year, which is just absolutely incredible. And so it's a high pressure, high value. When customers want to talk to an agent, you better let them talk to an agent. And when they talk to an agent, you better make sure that agent is highly skilled and able to serve them. Otherwise, they're going to move on to your competitors. And then the operations leadership, similarly, are under that corporate pressure. They're also dealing with this agent churn problem, and they're dealing with kind of volatility in their environment. We've all heard of contact centers where something happens, everybody gets overwhelmed, and 4 hours later, it's all changed again and it's moving on. So we start with that. And so we started this whole journey with the question of, what if your agents knew the customer's profile, the customer's personality, and their sentiment at the moment that the call arrives, including not just call center interactions, but other digital interactions? What if they knew the likelihood that the customer will buy, churn, or simply advance on their journey, and even what they're supposed to do? Because if a customer calls because they want to advance on their journey because they've been trying to do something in digital self-service, and you push them on a upsell or a cross-sell, you're going to end up with an angry customer. I know personally, I hate that when people do that. You know, what if they had personalized recommendations of what they should do and what they should offer to best meet this specific customer's needs based on all those interactions of all the agents and all the customers over time, and this profile and personality and sentiment of the customer at the point of call arrival? And then specifically, what could they do? Is there any way that we can kind of prompt them of what they should actually say, right? And so as we'll look at in a minute, you know, generative AI is giving us the ability, combined with all these other things, to actually prompt the agent as to what the best thing is to say in order to make this customer happiest. Maybe happiness is not the goal. Maybe it's about effective, successful, calm, and all those other emotional words. And then similarly, we heard a lot of asks from operations leaders. So one is this idea of, can they minimize the business disruption and costs of agent churn? How can they empower these underappreciated, overwhelmed agents to perform better and help identify their strengths and weaknesses to better coach, upskill, and manage them? can the operations leaders see and react to what's happening in the center more near real time? So if you go through a classic example of there being a big, a competitor does something, or there's a product in market, or there's a feature, a lot of people call in, the contact center gets overwhelmed. Traditional operations views tell you that's happening 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days later, and by that time everything's gone back to semi-normal and you can't do anything about it. So how can we pull that into more real time so that they can get that visibility and act on it? Can they look at their groups of customers and get some kind of idea of what is their propensity to churn by or advance when, and know what works best and what doesn't work to do all those things in their centers based on all of the interactions that are happening? And then another interesting and fundamental thing that we heard, which I think is very important, is how can they improve the visibility and traceability of return on investment of the center to the other business leaders, and Deepak will talk a little bit about that as we go forward. And then a little bit of kind of more depth. Is there a way that they can refine their personas? Personas and segments being what drives how do you deal with the customer. So every customer today wants a hyper-personalized experience specifically for them. And in order to do that at scale, you have to have a structure around that. And typically it's around personas, but most centers have 8, 9, 10 personas. What if they could have 50 or 60 or 70 and actually manage that with the help of technology? And maybe someday we'll get back to the story that we heard way back in the 1990s, for those of us who've been around, from Peppers and Rogers, about kind of the market of one, where every single customer is treated as an absolute individual. And so we believe that the advent of AI platforms in the last 10 or so years really gives the opportunity for the first time for businesses to actually do that. And then as part of that, how do you improve digital self-service? So how do you get more visibility about what works in your centers, what doesn't work in your centers, what can be automated, what can be moved into your conversational AI engines, and what can be moved into other changes on your websites and your apps and your social media platforms. So there's a lot of things that people are looking for, and what we want to do is to not just tell you, but show you how you can capture that opportunity and demonstrate to you CCIM in action for enabling agents and enhancing service leader performance. By the way, I love this picture. Just in theme of this whole presentation, it's a Gen AI picture. So this picture was generated by AI. So first, Deepak is going to talk to you a little bit about how the CCIM platform built on EasyML works. And then we'll go to the core of the presentation and have Nidhi and Vikram actually show you. So over to you, Deepak.
Thank you, Graham. So Graham mentioned frustrated customers, agents who are ready to churn, customers who demand personalized service. I mean, these are long-standing issues in call contact center. How can we finally address them cost effectively? By careful melding of traditional and generative AI. And that is what Contact Center Insight Manager, CCIM, is. Let's investigate it. It's a two-layered, let me see if I can flip to the next page. Graham, could you flip it for me, please?
There we go.
Thank you, sir. So the bottom layer is EasyML in that salmon color there. It's a machine learning platform, but one that is unique. Why? Because it's a transparent, accountable, and auditable machine learning platform. Big words. What do they really mean? Let's unwrap them. So the data comes in from the left side into the EasyML platform. Unfortunately, it's fractured, it's siloed, it's dirty, it's corrupt, it's got holes in it and outliers. It's a real mess, and we all know it. So the first order of business for EasyML is to have sophisticated mechanisms to cleanse this data so that it's ready for analytics. And that is exactly what data analysis, that box there, in EasyML does. Once you have the data ready, now you can mine it for insights, make it reveal secrets about your business that lie about it, right? Business intelligence, we've all heard about that. Augmented intelligence is a way of transparent machine learning to mine insights from data about your business, right? Then express them as simple rules, conditions, so that it's easily consumable. Then third, this is very important, accompany it with insight scores, because you don't want to work on insights that are misleading. That's what augmented intelligence does for you. Its companion for making models transparent is explainable AI. Basically what that does, explainable AI explains the reasons behind each prediction so that the experts can start to trust the machine, the model, its predictions, and effectively collaborate it for sustainable automation and true ROI, right? So that's the platform. That's the foundation. And like Vikram said, CCIM is the application he built that rides on top of EasyML. So let's look at the CCIM application now, because that is what we are here to discuss, right? How does it pull off this magic? Again, stuff coming in from the left is data ingestion. You see the usual suspects, right? All the cloud providers, even legacy platforms. CCIM's got connectors. It's unique capability to pull out your data by the skin of its teeth, if you will. And then you have the transcription as is required, because what all are the types of data that's typically coming? Well, it's agent and customer communication. It's agent's annotations after the call's over, for instance. It's CRM data about your customers, the demographics, their age, their marital status, all the other fun stuff. It's the telephony data. What was the hold time, handle time, call disconnect reasons, a whole slew of things, very fractured, siloed, right? And you need to package them, combine them, cleanse it. And that is what that underlying data analysis layer of EasyML does for CCIM, gets it ready to where you can feed it to data analysis to make sure that the data you got is ready for prime time. In particular, there are things that are still maybe lurking there, like data bias. We all know that that's a nemesis for data science. So unless you are relatively confident in CCIM that the data is good, you can iteratively continue to refine it. And that's the backward arrow that's going in your data analysis there. Once, never make perfection the enemy of good, you're ready. Now the magic starts. See, test, train, test, and deploy. From this data, and the topmost, on the left side, the topmost box says topic, subtopic identification. This is what is uppermost in the mind of your customers in the past hour, day, week, fortnight, month, quarter. Let's find out what they're really thinking about our service. What's good, what's not so good. How strongly do they feel about it? That's the emotion and the sentiments. And are their issues getting resolved, or are they just festering along and would lead to a churn ultimately? First call resolution, that last box there, is a big deal in call centers, and I'm sure. The next box on the right is, of course, we've talked a lot about the customers, but now it's time to talk about the agents, because unless they are trained, upskilled, as Graham mentioned, you will not have happy customers. And so use this data that you've so painfully cleansed and got ready to extract from it what is the process flow for these agents. And this is key. And we will see in the next slide why is that key, of what steps did the agents execute for a given request to process that effectively, right? And all this rolls into what's known as customer effort score. That's the last box in that train, test, deploy. It's very important because usually CES, customer effort score, is the next gen from NPS. It measures how much effort your customers have had to put in to do business with you. And finally, importantly, all that leads to a dashboard where you have elaborate reports that CCIM produces using your favorite technology. It allows you to provide feedback using that. And like we've been saying, it's even got a mechanism to access the underlying platform, not just the CCIM layer itself, but dip to the underlying platform. And that's very important. We'll see in a second. Why is that important? Could we flip to the next page, please, Graham? Thank you. So we are peeling the layers of the onion, right? Train, test, deploy, that box that was there. Now it's being blown open to reveal the secrets inside. Some parts you can immediately relate, right? Topic, subtopic, identification model is at the top there. Of course, you have the sentiments for the customers being detected, and if their calls, if their issues are getting resolved or not, and what the customer effort score is. The thing that you see in orange, highlighted in orange text, is what makes CCIM so unique. So for instance, it says automated cluster labeling. What the heck is that? You know, if you have to test and turn up solutions in your environment for your business, customized to you, it takes a ton of effort to turn up a solution like this, which is providing insights about your customers. You'd have to take a lot of data, form clusters, figure out what this cluster label is, because otherwise, how do you know you get the right granularity? And then iteratively refine that process. It's very exhaustive. CCIM makes it simple, easy. How so? Now, take 50 calls, for instance, of various types. Each call, just label what issues. This is about annuity. This other call is about withdrawal inquiry. This third call is about withdrawal inquiry and withdrawal status, both combined in one. That's all you need to do. Label just some odd call types, covering the entire gamut, dump it on CCIM, and lo and behold, it's up and running, trained. That is a significant advantage, the quick bootstrapping and the quick realization of ROI with the ease of implementation. The box on the right is the agent. Again, let's not forget the agent. Like I said, we are able to extract various steps that the agent executes to address a query. And this is very important, especially for agent retraining and upskilling. Because, you know, once you extract there are subtle nuances, subtle differences in how agents, even the good ones, address a particular customer query. Of course, there's variability. The ability to take these subtle differences in various call types, the steps they are executing to address the customer query, and find enough commonalities to build a generic template. And that is what is then used to train the other agents who could benefit from this type of call flow. So very critical. And you see that thing that is again highlighted in orange here, automated agent action aggregator, agent action flow aggregator. That's precisely what it's doing. It's aggregating commonalities so that you have the ideal flow ready so that you can train your other agents. And once you train them, they're satisfied that they can address queries, they'll stick around longer. And the last box at the very bottom is key, upsell, cross-sell. That's your revenue opportunity, but it's very difficult because most of the solutions are generic out there. How do you customize? Remember we said from the dashboard, you can actually go down to the underlying power of the platform, EasyML. So you don't have to wait for the next release of the new vendor to come out if they decide to support your feature or product. Right then and there, you can actually access it to build your customized using traditional NLP personas that you will see from Nidhi and Vikram, as well as generative AI. Next page, please, Graham. Thank you. So here, to sum it up, automation of topics, subtopics, customer insights, and agent process flows on how they address customer issues. That quick bootstrapping of the solution in your environment for realization of true ROI. Accurate upsell, cross-sell, and we mentioned that because it's customized to you. Fourth one is troubleshoot. This is very unique to CCIM. So you come in the morning and there is a big blow up. Tons of calls inundating your call center. God only knows what's wrong. The queue times have built up. The agents are frustrated. Customers are upset. Can we get to the root cause, please? Can we get to the root cause, please? Well, now you can. All that you can, again, from your dashboard, you can take your data that from this morning and subject it to augmented intelligence. Remember, we saw that middle box in EasyML? And you will get root cause as to what are the characteristics of the call that are causing this immense spike in the calls this morning. Armed with that insight, now you can go back to your business process engineering or whatever be the mismatch in resources, etc. Maybe the last bullet point is most important. Save the best for last. ROI calculator, right? All of us recognize that unless you have the ability to convince up the executive chain that here's how the investment has led to ROI, the ability to draw more capital to continue to incrementally improve it is limited. And so that's the summing it up. The benefits are at the right: time to market, future proofing, leading analytics, and of course, all this is very testable. So I've been saying a lot about CCIM and the underlying EasyML platform, but saying is one thing, seeing quite another. Nidhi and Vikram are going to show it in action, so that seeing is believing, as they say. Nidhi?
Thanks, Deepak. Okay. All right, so far we have learned that CCIM application sits on the top of EasyML, uses the explainable AI and the augmented intelligence to derive insights from the transcripts and from the customer metadata to inform the agents and operations leaders about what's going on in their call centers and help them with it. We also looked at the application architecture of the CCIM application and how there are many benefits that it brings to the agents and the operations leaders. Now Vikram and I will try to dive into the demo. This demo we actually put together for an insurance client, so bear with us. There will be some insurance terms, policy, withdrawal, and such, but it should give you a good enough idea of the power of CCIM. Okay, so what you see on the screen, this is like a prototype of a typical agent dashboard. This would be there in most cost center management softwares. It has details of the customer, it has details of the policy or the product, the call log, the quick action buttons there to quickly go and check on something for the agent. But what's most important and unique are the two boxes at the bottom of the screen. So the customer highlights on the bottom right that you see, and the bottom middle part, which is the recommendations box. So what's so special about these two boxes? So this in the agent dashboard is getting plugged in from the CCIM in the backend. And this is made up of several AI/ML models. So for example, there are some that I will go through and there's many others, but the persona, as you see in the recommendation box, that's coming from the persona model. That's one. Issues is coming from the topic subtopic model that Deepak had mentioned. Basically, it's looking at the various call transcripts, figuring out what the issue is, what the sub issue is for which the call is getting logged. That's the second. The third is the upselling recommendation. That's again something that Deepak referred to, the cross-sell or upsell model. So it gives a recommendation on what more can be sold to the customer if the customer is happy. Fourth is the churn model. So here under customer highlights, you see the churn model. It is basically predicting the propensity of the customer to churn. And then there's the customer sentiment, or shown at the bottom of the customer highlights, which basically looks at the emotion or the sentiment analysis. So what we'll do now is look at how these different AI models work towards enabling the agent. So in this demo, we are covering two distinct parts. One is the agent empowerment, and the other is the decision support to the operations leader. So let's first look at the agent enablement. And to do that, I would like to invite Vikram to talk to us about the persona model. So Graham, if you can please make him the presenter.
Yeah, thanks, Nidhi. So like Nidhi was talking about the persona model, and she was showing that personas in the lower middle box. So here I'm going to talk about the personas. So the persona are basically the unsupervised model, which takes the transcripts and the user attributes into the consideration, and then they take these combinations and create clusters out of it, which depicts different type of attributes belongs to each clusters. And these clusters are basically driven by a configuration parameter which you can define. So like Graham was talking in his presentation, where he was talking about a customized experience for each user. So here, that bulk of the manual effort of categorizing all those users into their personalized personas is taken away by the machine, and machine does it automatically, and you can define any number of personas depending on your requirement. From a very coarse grain to very fine level, you can define the personas. So now here I will just show some of the personas which are created by the unsupervised model. So here you can see this is young professionals. This is one cluster where it has taken the age, gender, geolocation, family, job title, home types, and then this cluster is given the name as young professionals. Similarly, you will find another cluster where the attributes are different. So based on all these attributes, different personas are created, and then later on these personalized personas can be used for upselling or service recommendations, which Nidhi is going to talk more about it. So the beauty here is like you can take that whole manual effort, and you can create these personalized experiences for all of your customers. So Nidhi is going to talk more on those upsellings and service recommendation where you can use these personas. So back to you, Nidhi.
Hey Nidhi, let me interrupt while I'm passing control. We had a question from Nick, which was whether the functionality that we're talking about at the agent desktop level is real-time guidance in terms of next best action, or is it more of an after-call analytics? So it would be good to address that.
Yeah, so sorry, let me share my screen and then we can talk. So basically it is near real time, and it really depends on, so there's a lot of moving parts there. First of all, all this insight that it is deriving is based on call transcripts. So are the call transcripts ready to be inputted into the system, right? If that's available until the nearest past date, then that can be as close to near real time as possible. There's other considerations, such as the sentiment analysis and the NLP work that is done in the back end, all the concept extraction that we do, that requires a certain bandwidth. There is a certain speed that is required. So all those considerations go into determining how real time we can get. There's also an aspect of the recommendations or the outputs are generated by the AI models. And now, do we want the SME to take a look at it before it can be, that detail can be furnished on the agent screen? So all these considerations will go into determining how real time you can get with it. But yes, we have done something up to last week. We can do it up to the previous day. And then, depending upon all these considerations that I described, we can get it to near real time.
And I want to add one more point to what Nidhi said. Like all these, the real time is one part, and the another part is there are few pre-computed things which will be available to customer whenever a call is coming to the agent, because those things, for example, these personas or the current sentiment, user current sentiment, they will be pre-computed and they are basically updated on the cadence, which depends on how frequently the transcripts arrive to our servers. And then those are pre-computed and they are available to agent in the real time. So the agent can take the action. He knows what kind of customer is calling me, and then he can do all of his work, what he wanted to do. So that way it will be very helpful for the user agent as well.
And I'm going to highlight what Vikram was just describing in the next part of the demo. So let's go back to the demo. You can see my screen, right? Yeah. So we talked about the persona in the middle bottom box, right? Vikram talked about the persona model, which is basically taking the call transcripts, using an unsupervised algorithm to create these clusters of personas. We can have the SME take a look at it. If we are comfortable with it, we can just directly port it to the agent dashboard. Next one that I would like to talk about is the topic subtopic, which is basically doing the issues or the sub-issues description or derivation. So on screen, if you can see, there's a pie chart here. This pie chart is basically showing all the different issues for which the calls are getting logged. This is coming from the topic model. So again, in the topic model, what we are doing, we are throwing in the call transcripts. It's an unsupervised learning model. It is basically creating clusters of these various issues, and then the SME can interact and label, give appropriate labels to various issues if required. Within this topic, so for example, we have a topic called withdrawal here. If I click on this piece of the pie, what you see here is further detail. Further, it shows which are the sub-issues within withdrawal for which the calls are getting logged. Is it an inquiry? Is it to surrender the penalty waiver? Is it an EFT form inquiry? So it tells you further detail within the issue of the various sub-issues and how much percentage of the calls are on that sub-issue. And then if you just move the cursor around on the pie, you can see several key figures, the KPIs for that sub-issue. So for example, the average handling time, the resolution rate, the customer effort score that Deepak had earlier mentioned, the sentiment, all that is getting basically logged with the sub-issues as well. Now, I'm just going to go back to the agent dashboard. We covered the persona, we covered the issues or the sub-issues within that. Now, a combination of these two, the persona and the issue, is what is determining the service or the resolution recommendation, which comes under the service recommendation here. Now, what is the service recommendation? It is a series of steps that the system recommends the agent to take to resolve the issue for that persona and for that issue, right? So what is noteworthy here is that the persona model and the issues or the topic subtopic model, they are both unsupervised learning, and they are creating these clusters, the magic of clusters in the back end, which in itself is a big win, because that saves a ton of manual effort for bucketing the issues and finding the resolutions. And then for this combination of persona and issue, when the resolution is being arrived at, that is the agent action model. So let's show you a view of the agent action model. What you see at the bottom of this screen, the horizontal bars that you can see at the bottom of this screen, these are various steps that the agents are taking to resolve the issue. So starting from the greeting exchange to closing the call, what are the different steps the agent has taken to resolve that issue? And what this AI model is doing is basically it is looking at all the call transcripts. It is identifying what kind of resolution is getting arrived at, and it is creating these clusters of or should I call it the call journey, right? So the various steps to resolution that the agent is taking. And if you see on the left, it also shows the percentage of calls that are following that particular sequence of steps for resolution. And on the right here, these are all the key figures pertaining to those set of calls. So the average handling time, the resolution rate, the customer effort score, the sentiment, customer sentiment, etc., are all getting displayed alongside. And then they are also color coded, mind you. So a green color indicates a positive customer sentiment. Yellow color is indicating a neutral sentiment, and then I believe the orange is showing the negative sentiment of the customer. So it's fairly visual. The manager, the contact center manager, can come to these screens and just have a look at how we have been doing as far as the customer sentiment is concerned. So this is a great help as far as the visual application is concerned. Now going back to the screen here, the agent screen. Now here we saw the persona model, we saw the issue subtopic, the topic subtopic models, and the agent action model, which is bringing the service recommendation. Now what happens is in the back end where I was showing you all the horizontal layers, there's different steps to resolution. The agent action model derives a resolution score for each of these steps, and then is able to call out those steps that have a resolution score which is higher than a threshold. And that's how it is able to combine a number of steps that the agent should follow to resolve a particular issue for a persona and issue combination, right? And those steps that the model recommends, those are the ones that come and sit here under service recommendation. So all these 8 tabs that you see, and these are all clickable. So each is giving him some information about the customer or some recommendation or some prediction. So all these 8 steps are derived from the agent action model. So it is telling that these are the steps that the model thinks should be taken to resolve this particular issue. Now, what's unique here, and that is the beauty of CCIM, is that each of these boxes is fairly customized. So when I say customized, it's not in the traditional sense, but so for a young professional, for example, when they decide to withdraw, there is a tax implication. So we see this explain tax implications, and there's a commentary here to support the agent to explain it to the customer. Now, if the persona was, say, a retiree, then this box wouldn't be there. So it's fairly seamless and fairly dynamic in determining what's the perfect resolution for this customer, for this persona, and for this issue. Now, coming down to the customer highlights area, we see the churn model up top. There is a churn button, which basically, now this one is a supervised learning model where we are feeding the history of churn customers to the model. And then the model is getting trained to understand that pattern. And then it is able to predict whether the customer that the agent is handling, whether it has a churn propensity of high, medium, low. That's what you see here on the first tab. So that's the churn model. And then we have the preferred method of action that's coming from, again, the customer metadata and the call transcripts, whether the customer likes self-guided service or whether they like, the agent to guide them through the claims creation, form creation, or whatever problem they are calling for. Then there is persona attributes, which again comes from the persona model. And this is basically just some additional information that is plugged into the agent screen so that the agent is aware of, the personality or the persona that he or she is talking to, and is able to accordingly make recommendations and is able to resolve in a more succinct manner. And then lastly is the customer sentiment, where currently we are using the call transcripts, but you could, depending upon what the client wants, you could add emails, you could add social media to derive the current customer sentiment. So we have seen so far how these different 5 or 6 AI models are working in the back end, looking at the call transcripts, customer metadata, and generating insights, recommendations, predictions, which are going and plugging into the agent dashboard, and thereby enabling the agent to work better, feel more powerful, have the knowledge, they are equipped with the knowledge to handle the calls, and thereby this helps to empower them and reduce agent attrition. Now let's look at the second aspect of this demo, which is basically where we are talking about the decision support for the operations leader. Now, to do that, let us, I will take up, Deepak, your suggestion of troubleshooting. And so let's consider a problem statement where, let's say in the last 1 week, the call center has been getting, the contact center has been getting a lot of calls from the angry customers. The call holding times are going up. All agents are busy. We are just inundated with calls. So the contact center manager is trying to figure out what's going on. And so she dives into her dashboard to try to see if she can figure out what's going on and take some key decisions so that she can keep it moving smoothly and help her employees be more successful at their work, right? So she goes to her screen, goes to the analysis screen. I hope you all are able to follow me along. It's I apologize. It's a lot of information on this screen, but I will try to voice it so that you can understand what I'm doing. So she filters the report by issues, and for that period, and looks at the screen. What comes up on the screen is the list of issues for which the calls are getting logged. There is a user sentiment per issue, how the user sentiment is moving, how many calls got logged for that particular issue for the time period in question, and the total number of minutes that are logged for those calls. Now, when she looks at this, clearly she sees that claims, which is the first issue that shows up on the screen, has the highest number of calls that are logged during this period. It's almost double the others. And the number of minutes is also almost 3 times to that of the other issues. So she definitely knows something is going on in claims. So she tries to analyze further. She goes into the next level of analysis, and she looks at the sub-issues within claims. So she looks at the sub-issues. She finds a list of sub-issues right here with the number of minutes that are getting logged for these sub-issues, and she finds that claim status is having the highest number of minutes. So she knows that now I need to look into claim status. What's going on? Why are we struggling so much here? Why the call time is so high? Number of minutes getting logged for claim status is so high. So she then goes to analyze the subcategory, which is the claim, sub-issue. And then she filters on claims status. And for claim status, then she does further analysis. Within that, she wants to see how the agents are faring. And she comes across this particular agent, 10009, who's having a customer effort score of 2.0, which is fairly low because all her other agents are 5 and above. So she knows that this particular agent is struggling, and also she sees a red flag here, right? So she sees that this issue is still unresolved. And then she goes back to her other screen where she looks at the top agents for claims. So all those agents who have successfully handled this particular issue of claims, she has a top agents list on that, and she gets the 5 agent names from there. Sorry, I'm getting some. Okay. She gets the name of the 5 agents, and now she's at a decision point. She decides to reassign some of the calls to her top agents so that they can handle the calls. She knows that they have a history and they have handled the calls better. Let me reassign these calls to some of our top agents in this area. And then she works with her HR to identify all such agents who are struggling to handle claims calls. And they create a quick video module, send it to, emails it to all those agents. They can quickly look over, 10-minute video, quickly look over, understand what are the key things that they need to keep in mind, how the other agents have resolved it in the past. And that's how she, she works with her employees to empower them, to make them feel successful, share knowledge with them in time to take action. And that's the power and beauty of CCIM. So that's all I have for you for demo. There's much more, believe me, this is just the tip of the iceberg. There's much more beneath the covers, but for this demo, I think we can only cover this much, but we would be happy to answer any questions. Over to you, Graham.
Great, thanks Nidhi and Vikram. Wow, we do have some questions, but we're kind of at the top of the hour, so please get in contact with us. Typically where we go from here with our clients is firstly there's kind of an exploration, which is we chat to you, we talk about your individual situation, and we mutually come up with a hypothesis for action. From there, we go into a proof stage, which is really around a low-cost configuration of the platform to your requirements so that you can demonstrate to your business leaders that there's value in moving forward with this. It's actually a production-ready MVP proof of concept. So we really like this idea that if you want to take it and use it, you can do that right after the proof of concept. And then we head into kind of a multi-wave deployment phase. So I really appreciate your time. Please contact us. We would love to talk to you in more detail. There were a few questions we didn't get to answer, and some things I think that we need to show some people individually. But we are really, really excited. This Contact Center Insights Manager platform built on the underlying EasyML platform is a game changer. And as you get to explore this, whether you are an end client organization or whether you are a service provider like a business process outsourcer, this platform we really believe can provide significant business advantage to you. And we've got examples, which we didn't really cover today, of companies that are already doing that today in order to do this. Because one of the things we are absolutely focused on is not bringing applications to market until they've been proven out in real world situations. And we would love to share some more about how that's working in insurance, how that's working in banking and finance, how that's working in media and entertainment, how that's working in communications, the things that we talked about at the beginning. So thank you for your time. Thank you, Nidhi, Vikram, Deepak. We will continue the conversation offline.